Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and the iPad mini has finally been updated for 2021. Apple has redesigned it, it's more squared off, similar to the iPhone and the iPad, and it has some new colors available. So this is the new Starlight color, but it also comes in space gray, pink, and purple. There's two different storage options, 64 gigabytes and 256 gigabytes, and it starts at $499 and then goes to $649 for the larger storage option. If you want to add cellular data to that, add an additional $130, similar to what they do with all the other iPads. Now let's go ahead and unbox this and take a look at it. So here is the new iPad mini, and I also have the smart Folio case to go along with it. So these are fairly expensive as well, but they're $59, and it's similar to what we've had before, but it wraps around the back as well. We'll take a closer look at that after we unbox the iPad mini. So here's the iPad mini. Now I picked it up in 64 gigabytes with just the Wi-Fi option, since we don't really use a whole lot of storage on the smaller iPads. So we'll pull this off here to unwrap it. There we go. And let's open the box up. There we go. And just like the new iPad this year, the 9th generation iPad, it's wrapped in paper instead of plastic, which is really nice, better for recyclability. So we'll put this aside for just a moment. And then inside we have our typical paperwork. So let's see what we've got here. It says iPad mini, sort of a quick start guide it looks like. And then we've also got our safety and handling and warranty, as well as Apple stickers. They don't match the iPad, they're just the typical white Apple stickers that we normally see. Now, as far as included accessories, we have a USB-C to USB-C cable for charging, and we also have a wall adapter. So this is Apple's 20-watt wall adapter, and if you need an additional adapter or just a smaller one to carry around, that's where my channel partner comes in, Anker. Anker provides about 45% of the size of the current charger and provides up to 20 watts of power, so about 50% charge in 25 minutes on an iPhone. I'll talk more about them a little bit later on, but let's go ahead and put this away here, and we'll take a closer look at the iPad. So we'll put these away, and let's see what the iPad is all about. This is my first time actually seeing an iPad mini, so let's go ahead and open it up. And this color Starlight is sort of a silver, but it has a hint of gold or an off-white color to it. It looks pretty good in different light. You can see around the edge, it looks a little bit different. So it's not exactly silver. Now, as far as the overall design, on the top, you can see we have our power sleep wake button, and this is also a Touch ID button. So it reads your fingerprint and unlocks securely. We also have speakers, and we should have dual speakers, one on each side if you're in landscape. So we'll take a closer look at that with some magnet paper in a moment. And we also have our volume buttons on the top, which is a little bit different than what we normally see. So we don't have them on the side here. On the bottom, we have more speakers, and we also have a USB-C port here, so we can use that with external storage or just for connections. And then on the other side, we have a spot for our Apple Pencil. This supports the 2nd generation Apple Pencil, and we'll try that a little bit later. Now on the back, you can also see that we have a camera. It's a 12 megapixel camera that has continuous autofocus. It also has True Tone flash and can record up to 4K at 60 frames per second, but it does not have HDR. Now this does support 5G as well, so it supports 5G and also 802.11ax and Wi-Fi 6, as well as Bluetooth 5.0. So all of that's built in, and of course the brand new A15 Bionic CPU, 6-core GPU, 5-core CPU with a 16-core neural engine. As far as the RAM, I'm not sure what's inside. We'll have to take a look at that in a little bit. Now let's take a look at the magnets in the back so we can get a better idea of what's inside. So it looks like we have some magnets here on the back for maybe connecting the smart cover or the smart Folio case. This looks like we've got a speaker here. And then around this side, again, some more magnets, and then again another speaker. So we just have 2 speakers and maybe some resonance chambers or microphones as well. There's also a microphone here. So let's go ahead and turn it on. We'll get it set up, and we'll talk more about the display and the forward-facing camera as well. So let's turn it on, and we'll also compare it size-wise to the other devices. So we'll let it boot up here, And this is actually fairly light. It's 293 grams or 0.65 pounds. Or if you have the cellular model, it's 0.66 pounds or 297 grams. So it's pretty light overall. As you can see, the display is lit up. We do have some fairly thick bezels, but I actually like that for holding on to them. Generally, if you're holding on to something this small, your thumbs are going to protrude into the display. Now, compared to, say, the other models here, let me just show you that. This is very similar to what we have with an iPad Air. So let me just line these up here so you can get a size idea. So I'll line these up. This is the iPad Mini and Air. Now you can see I have all the new iPads lined up, or this year's iPads. We have the iPad Mini, then the 9th generation iPad, the iPad Air, and the iPad Pro 12.9. And the iPad Pro 11-inch is the same size as the Air. So this gives you a general idea of the size overall and what might work best for you when it comes to what you want to carry around with you every day. So it's definitely a very small iPad. Now, before I set this up, here is the previous generation iPad Mini. This is one of the first iPad Minis, and as you can see, it's in a black color. It's almost slate in color, and it's just very different. So as far as the overall size goes, this gives you a general idea of the size. If you're coming from an old iPad Mini, as far as the size, we do have a camera bump this time around, and then on the side here, you can see the difference. And the height is a little bit shorter and the width is about the same, but you get those stereo speakers and you don't have a headphone jack, but you do have that camera bump that sticks out. Now let me set that aside and we'll get this set up. So we'll swipe up here and we'll set it up. So now I'll just bring in another iPad so we can set this up. I'll hit continue, and then what we'll do is scan this here. Using the iPad, it recognizes it and helps me set up the iPad. So I'll get this set up, I'll put in my passcode, and now it wants me to set up Touch ID. And so we'll hit continue, and Touch ID is on the top. So we'll just place my finger here and get this set up. And Touch ID works really well on the button here, and it's similar to what we have on the iPad Air that I've used for quite some time. So again, it says capture all of your fingerprint. So we'll hit continue, and then we'll want to fill this in by moving our finger around a little bit. And it typically works really well. We'll hit continue. You can add another fingerprint. So if you want to use it in landscape mode, you can do that. So I'll do that really quick. So I have my fingerprint added. We'll hit continue. And now it's asking if I want to transfer data. I don't at this point. I just want to set it up as new so we can use it. So I'll put in my Apple ID. Since this iPad didn't have that installed, I'll put in my Apple ID so I can use this. Now, as far as the display, since we're waiting for this to be set up, the display is an 8.3-inch measured diagonally LCD display or liquid retina display. It's 2266 by 1488 pixels with a pixel density of 326 pixels per inch. It's a laminated display, so there's no air gap here. And there's also 500 nits of brightness and an anti-reflective coating. I'll show you that in a moment, as well as P3 wide color and true tone. So we'll go ahead and hit continue. It says make this your new iPad. It'll just bring over my settings. Now it's asking me to set up Siri. I'll just hit continue. And if we want to improve Siri dictation, and then welcome to iPad. Now, as far as the display and how reflective it is, it's pretty good as far as reflectivity. Now, if I bring in the 9th generation iPad, you'll see that it's much more reflective. And if I turn the brightness all the way down here, or just turn the displays off, you can see how reflective it is. So there's actually a light right here that you can see sort of shining, and you don't see it as much on the iPad Mini at all, but you can definitely see it here. If I pick this up this way, you can see I'm reflecting right in the display here. And if I pick it up over here, bring it over, you can barely see me in the iPad Mini display, but you can see me pretty clearly on the iPad, the 9th generation iPad. So that just gives you a general idea of what it looks like as far as how well it handles reflections. Now let's go ahead and see what version of iOS 15 is on it and if there's any new wallpapers. So we'll go to settings, then we'll go to about, and you'll see the pre-installed iOS version is iOS 15, but build number 19A342. So if we go back here and go to software update, there'll be an update. It's a 350 megabyte update that we'll need for some bug fixes and more. So it's a security update and it fixes some issues. So I'll update this a little bit later, but let's go to our wallpaper. We'll choose a new wallpaper and let's see what we have for stills. And so we have the new mini wallpapers. So based on the color you got, This one is for Starlight, so we can set this. We'll hit Not Now. We'll set it for the wallpaper, and you'll see this is the new Starlight wallpaper. So we have those for different options, and they're just different for each color that you choose. So depending on which iPad you bought, you can pick whatever one you want. And they have a day and night mode as well. So on our home screen, this is what it looks like in light mode. Then we'll switch to dark, and this is what the wallpaper looks like in dark mode. So it looks really nice in dark mode. And the blacks here on the display are pretty black as well. They do stick out a little bit, but they are pretty dark. So that looks really nice. Now, as far as the overall features of this iPad, I wanted to check out the RAM just to see what it has. And so I've installed Geekbench 5. Let's see how much RAM this iPad has. So we'll wait for it to load here, and you can see it has about 4 gigabytes. So 3.78 gigabytes of RAM, and that's pretty good, especially for an iPad mini. Typically, the iPhones or the Pro models of the iPhone have 6 gigabytes. So this has the same amount of RAM as the new iPhone 13, and it has that new processor in it as well. Now, the front-facing camera is really nice because it has a 12-megapixel camera. It's ultra-wide. It can record 1080p 30 video, but it also has center stage, Apple's new feature where it follows you around, maybe when you're on a phone call or in FaceTime. It's something I really like. You can turn it off if you want to, but if we go to FaceTime, let's take a look at it. Now, I'm in a FaceTime call with myself, and as I move around out of the display, it follows me around. So you can see it keeps me in frame no matter where I am. And then, of course, I have portrait mode in the background, so it can do portrait mode on this processor. And let's go home. So it has all of those features. Let me hang up the FaceTime call. Now, the iPad mini has all new speakers, so I thought we'd take a listen to those using a comparison that I created last year with all the current iPhones that were for sale. Let's go ahead and hit play. I'll move the microphone so you can hear this a little bit better. So I turned the speakers all the way up, and you saw I hit about 77 decibels, measuring it with the Apple Watch. So it's nice and loud. It's not as loud as an iPhone, where I got over 80, but it's pretty loud overall. So it has a nice, clear stereo sound, even at the highest volume, and it seems to work really well. Now, internally, this has a 19.3 watt-hour battery. According to Apple, it's good for about 10 hours. It's a lithium polymer battery, and the cellular version, if you're using just cellular data and using Safari, will get you about 9 hours of battery. Now, if you need to recharge your iPad, that's where our channel partner, Anker, comes into play. The new Anker Nano Pro can charge just as fast as the included charger, but at 45% of the size, like I showed you before. It has Power IQ 3.0 that works flawlessly with your new iPhone or iPad, and it has Anker's patented Active Shield to monitor temperature and adjust current to make sure the phone doesn't get too hot or your iPad doesn't get too hot. It also comes in 4 different colors: Glacier Blue, Cool Lavender, Arctic White, and Black Ice, and I'll link them in the description below so you can check out the Anker Nano Pro. Now, iPad mini supports Apple Pencil 2, and it just sticks to the side, and we'll stick it to the side, and you can see the iPad mini is almost as long as the Apple Pencil. So you just stick it to the side of the device, it charges it, and it pairs it. So we'll hit continue, and then it's just showing what you can do with it with Scribble and more, and we'll hit continue and hit done. Now, if we take the pencil off, swipe in from the bottom, we have Quick Notes, where we can just capture whatever we want, say hello. This is iPad. This is terrible, but you get the idea that this will work, and I should redo that a little bit later, but you get the idea that you can use the pencil with it, and the Pencil 2 is my favorite just because when you're done with it, you stick it to the side, and it works really well. Of course, that does come at an extra cost and is not included. Now, as far as accessories, this is the Smart Folio I showed you earlier, and this is the dark cherry version. So let's go ahead and open this up here. It didn't come sealed or anything. So no plastic in the box, really. It's just all cardboard or paper, it looks like. And this is the Folio. Now this is silicone, and it has some magnets inside of it that will adhere it to the iPad. So again, you can see all of the different magnets inside the case. There's a bunch throughout on the back, and then some on the cover to help hold it up, and even more. So this allows you to fold this so that you can use it as a stand. So you fold it back like this, use it like a stand like we've had before, and it should work on this iPad. So let's go ahead and put the iPad mini on it. There. It sticks to it magnetically, and then of course you can just close this. If you open it up, it turns the iPad on, close it, it shuts it off. So you've got that, and then of course you can fold it up like this and use it as a stand. So if you want to use it, it just holds the iPad up like that. So I think it looks really nice, and let's go ahead and unlock it. There we go. And if you want to use a smaller iPad, this is probably the way to go. There doesn't get much better than this as far as the design. I love the iPad Air, and this is the same sort of design, and they have generally pretty good speakers as well. So it looks pretty nice with that case, and I think I like the dark cherry with Starlight. It looks really good together. Now, I'd love to hear what you think about the iPad mini since it's been fully redesigned. I know a lot of people were really looking forward to this. Now, for me personally, the iPad mini is just way too small. I'm more of a 12.9-inch iPad Pro type of person. I use that regularly when I'm doing email and productivity. Basically, anytime I'm not editing a video and I'm at home, I'm using that. So that's my preferred size for an iPad. But now we've got not only the mini, we have the new 9th generation iPad, the iPad Air, 11-inch iPad Pro, and then the 12.9-inch. Let me know which size works best for you in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.